get into our first segment here. What's hot and fraud? This is where we warn our listeners about popping scams in the zeitgeist, and more often than not, we get a letter from you guys out there. As always, snitch on your friends and family at scamgoddesspod@gmail.com. Just make sure your scam is retired because we don't want to what? Yes. Fuck up your bag. Amen. Miranda, Nathan, I need a fake name for this person. We don't care about gender. Could be anything.
Mary Ellen.
How classy. Ooh.
I love that because it's so olden-timey that it's going to fit perfectly into this episode. Mary Ellen. Oh, Mary Ellen. When you have a baby named Mary, can you call him Mary when they have a baby?
It's an adult name.
Well,
The name
all
has
baby
to
names
change.
become adult names.
I know, but certain
Yeah,
names,
but it's certain
they're
names
not
that are
baby
very
names.
childish.
Like they're just meant to be for an adult. Yeah, I get.
Like
yeah.
if your name is Kiki, when you become an adult, you're gonna have to try to find something more adult than that. Like,
Catherine.
right? They're like, no, your name is Kiki on the birth certificate. No. I'm 25 now. It's Catherine. We're changing the name. We can't be Kiki anymore. It's like a lot of family members of mine have Lil in front of their names still. Like we call them like
Oh, and then people
Lil
take it away.
Daryl, and they're grown
like
adults,
7
and we're
feet
like, yeah,
tall.
that's Lil Daryl. Like,
What name would have you picked, Nathan? Maybe yours would be better.
Well, see, I was gonna go Brunhilde.
Brunhilde.
So, which is like far.
that gives me like Django Unchained, but it's like a German name. for something.
Brunhilde.
You can decide, Laci, which
Yeah.
which name is the winner.
Mary Ellen or Brumhilda. They're
Brumhilda's
both
pretty good.
great. Maybe I give them 4 names. So Mary Ellen Brumhilda says, I think you're 10 out of 10 and the most delightful. The scam I have to share is one that I caught off one of my first graders doing. I'm a teacher. Shout out to the teachers. Really, shout out to y'all, man. Like, whoo, I don't know how y'all do it.
Nope.
I'm not dealing with nobody's unemployed spawn all day. And then they mouthy. They got attitude and lip. And it's like, you don't pay no bills. How dare you?
I literally had to tell my 4-year-old that the other day. He's like,
Start
you
them young.
Yep, you can slam the door when it's your house.
You ain't paying no door bills in
That's
here.
right.
You ain't got no WD-40 money.
You're not gonna send the repairman out for that crack in that door that you made. That's right.
Exactly. Oh,
Those 4-year-olds need to know.
They do. I love that that's your version of, like, what black people call McDonald's money. Like, when we were kids, like, we'd always want to go to McDonald's, and I don't know why this is a universal black experience. We'd be like, let's go to McDonald's. And then our parents would be like, you got McDonald's money? And it was like, of course I don't. I'm unemployed. But I love it being like, you got door slamming money? I don't think you do. So.
That's a solid core door, child.
Right. These doors are expensive. What you doing? I love that so much. So Mary Ellen Brumhilde says, in my class, my students earn tickets in various ways. So you got to fucking compensate these children. Like, well, I got to pay you for free education.
Like for bad behavior or like for
no,
good?
like for good.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Randy, why'd you think that's a ticket? Like, you think
when
they're
I
writing a ticket like the police?
When I was little, I had to pull my card. Did you ever do that?
Yes.
And it's like
Yep.
getting a ticket.
Mhm.
Kind of. I mean, you have to pull the card and then eventually it gets to red.
Yes.
And then you're done.
Oh, you're
You might as
cooked.
well just
That goose is
give up.
cooked.
It's
on life.
over. You know what? They didn't factor in like children who were like meant to be entertainers or people who were not like okay, we had something at our elementary school called self-managers. And self-managers got these gold badges that they could wear around, and they would have like little pizza parties like every quarter. And I
Oh.
always wanted to be a self-manager, but you had to have good grades and you couldn't get your card pulled a lot. So I would have good grades, but I would be getting my card pulled all the time because I'd be talking cash shit in class. And for some reason at this school, and we all wore uniforms, there were a lot of Russian kids, and all the Russian kids were self-managers.
Hmm. Hmm. Odd.
A government coup? I don't know, but they were all self-managers, and I was always so envy of this. I'm like, man, Anya she a self-manager.
How did you become one? How did you, like, what did you have to do to get it?
Be quiet and get good grades.
Oh.
And I could get good grades, but I couldn't be
Be
quiet.
quiet. I feel like a self-manager would need to have confidence and be loud.
Yeah.
Right. I'm managing myself. What
Right,
you talking
exactly.
about?
Showing leadership qualities. Managing others.
Exactly.
You know?
Mary Ellen Brumhilde is giving out these tickets. Positive reinforcement, Miranda.
Not negative.
They write their names on them, and at the end of the day, we do a drawing with those tickets. We always choose 2 names, and those 2 students get to choose a prize from my prize box. Man, I miss being a kid because we used to be delighted by the most basic ass shit, like a fucking eraser that smelled good.
Yep.
I'm like, ooh, a pencil.
But it's got cinnamon on it.
When are we going to get our mesothelioma commercial, which I think is going to be like, if you were a loved one who smelled a magic sniff marker, you may be entitled to damages. I know that was doing something to us.
For sure.
And I was sniffing them all. I love the grape one.
Oh, the best.
Why do you need to sniff a pen or a marker? Like, that's insane.
You can't sniff any of the other markers. So
Right.
why are there
That's
only
true.
certain markers you can sniff?
Honestly, a gateway drug, because then, I started sniffing
The real
permanent markers.
Mhm.
Then you get a little hot.
Yeah, then you get the white out. It's a slippery slope.
Just the paint huffing. That's the gateway to paint huffing. Is you got magic markers for children. So they get something from the prize box. Last week, I noticed one student had been winning an uncanny amount of times. Like, homie was getting a prize 8 out of 9 days in a row. And I should have caught it earlier, but I've been having health issues, and it's the end of the year, and you know how it goes. I know absolutely how it goes. And also, you a teacher, you got to be out here you got to be a teacher. You got to be, like, martial law. It's an insane position that this country has put our educators in. And they don't pay them well enough. I'm like, I'm glad y'all not in here shaking the kids and pinching them under their arms. I be pinching all the kids.
Really?
A little tiny little do it right when no one can see it. So shout out to you. So anyway, she's like, I didn't notice that this was happening. Anyways, I investigated a little bit and noticed that on the tickets that had this student's name, you could faintly see an erased name underneath it. I asked the student about it, and they were like, every day when you put my ticket in the jar, I would take a few tickets out and erase whoever's name was on it, and then write my own.
He just gave himself up. It's like he was so proud. Like, in movies when the villain just starts talking for a long time about what they did. And you're wondering, like, why is the villain talking for 15
Right,
minutes?
these are details we didn't ask for. These are crimes we didn't. You're like, yeah, 10 years ago I robbed another bank. It's like nobody asked about that. You don't have to. Just proud. He was like, yeah, I took a few out. But think about it. If he only took a few out and left some, his odds are still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
This teacher must not have been shaking up the ticket bowl. He was just sprinkling them on top. He
Was
like,
the teacher impressed? What did the teacher do?
He says, honestly, for a first grader, this is the equivalent of Ocean's 11 heist because they're just very bad liars and never sneaky. So props to this kid. But I did have to remove all the tickets that had their name on it in the jar so they couldn't keep winning prizes. So basically
man.
what he was doing was stacking the deck because, like, they
Right.
get these tickets for being good, and then the tickets accumulate.
So he was doing something evil, but he was getting the tickets for being good because she thought he was
Yes.
being good. And then he was also writing his name
The
on all
ultimate
the...
con.
Little by little, every day he was stacking the deck because he's adding more tickets every single time because he's erasing people's names. So think of like a big jar, and then every time you get good tickets,
Right.
she reaches into the same jar, and
Yep.
you have better chances of winning if you're better behaved.
I'm just trying to figure
That's
out
a genius. That
when
kid.
is he getting them back into the jar? Because he's got to take them out. He's got to take them away. He's got to go erase them, put his name back on it.
These kids
Where's
are
he finding
quick.
that time?
There was a viral tweet about a teacher that she was like, I took a phone away from a child in my class, and then I turned around and she had the phone again, and she was on it. And she was like, how did you get this phone? And she was like, oh, you and my mama love a little drawer. And then like went back to her phone. It's like, y'all love a little drawer chair. I just went in the drawer and got it back. Very funny.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
open the drawer up.
I love that, though. I love when kids are criminals. I love it because you can tell early on if a kid's going to be a criminal. A few ways you can tell if they open up a lemonade stand.
I had a lemonade stand
Proves
multiple times as a child.
You're just a scam waiting to happen. Taking
I
time,
love
Bob.
a good lemonade stand.
Wait,
That child model money isn't what people think it is.
not you having to open your small business after your child modeling career fizzled out. So we got to pivot. Now I'm a child model who sells lemonade.
Lemonade on the street corner.
Now, what kind of lemonade were you slanging?
My mom helped me make it. It was homemade lemonade, which
Oh.
nowadays I feel like nobody would buy because
Right.
they'd be scared to get COVID.
Man, the good old days when you could leave your doors unlocked and buy unmarked lemonade on the street.
I remember how excited I was because my across street neighbor, they were doing construction, and I knew all the construction workers were going to be there one day.
Oh.
You are a scammer, Miranda. You were like, ooh, and today is hot, 89 degrees. Oh, yeah, y'all gonna be charge.
Put up a little easy up right over there so they could stand in line in the shade and get their ice cold lemonade.
Put out the catalog that I had the picture in from the child modeling to draw them in. Actually, that's creepy. What
Yeah,
am
I don't
saying?
know.
Never mind.
I'm not totally sure about that part.
It doesn't work. I was
But I love
spitballing.
that. I love that
Yeah,
you're just trying to you're like, just whatever we can do to advertise this lemonade. I love it. I love it. I think you could put out a sign that's like, struggling former child model.
That would have been good.
Please buy lemon sugar water. Help a struggling child model.